Hello, dear viewers. Yes, I could have been faster and hopped on here to bring you the latest news as quick as everybody else, but it is not how my mind works. I need to digest things, make peace with it, calm down before I speak. Yes, so Brian Walsh was finally arrested for his wife's murder. I don't think it comes as much of a surprise as we learned of the blood and the knife found in the home, the trip to the store where he purchased $450 worth of cleaning material and so forth. Of course, the actual arrest came days later because DNA testing had to prove it was Anna's blood. And so we learned that Anna's DNA was indeed found on the items he purchased after her death and discarded in a dumpster near his mother's home. So I personally think Mr. Walsh's goose is cooked, and very little will save him now from a life in prison. I have only one remaining question. Did his mother know what he did before his arrest? Did he tell her, or was she somehow involved, maybe during or after the fact? And the reason why I'm asking is because law enforcement said, and I quote, a family member told law enforcement that he or she saw Anna between 4 and 5 a.m. with her luggage. Mr. Idiot Walsh said he was asleep when she left, and when a journalist asked whether it was one of the boys, law enforcement said no. So who else could it have been? Or did law enforcement lie to us? Okay, now the main reason why I could not bring myself to open my mouth is because of little Athena Brownfield. It broke my heart when I heard that one of her carers confessed that her husband killed the beautiful little girl. And then her little body was found where Alicia said he told her he buried her. Horrific, absolutely horrific. It is even worse hearing that he allegedly killed this child with his bare hands on Christmas Day. Obviously, everyone is presumed innocent until proven guilty. But I personally think law enforcement has the right people in jail. And I hope they stay there for a very, very long time or until they die of old age. Taking into account that Alicia, knowing what Ivan Adams did, upped and left to go stay with her boyfriend and left her own children and Athena's sister with the same Ivan Adams shows a special kind of coldness. And I hope she rots in a cell for a good few years. I also hope that Athena's mother will at least get a charge of abandonment, because how do you leave your children in someone's care for a year and a half to 2 years? How? And Athena's father, who, according to his own mother, had not been in contact with the girls for a year and a half. What is his story? Or is he just a deadbeat dad? Shame on them all. I don't care what their circumstances are. They are a special kind of pathetic as far as I'm concerned. Somehow, these barbaric actions against our children will have to stop. I mean, there's Monkey Vaughan, presumed dead, Harmony Montgomery, Athena Strand, Quinton Simon, J.J. Vallow, and Kaylee, now Athena Brownfield, and so many more. Just like we can't understand why people choose murder over divorce, it makes even less sense how parents, caregivers, and adults can do this to a vulnerable child. What is wrong with society and humanity? As things stand, we now know what happened to Quinton Simon, murdered by his mother, Harmony Montgomery, allegedly murdered by her father, Athena Brownfield, killed by her caregiver, monkey born, likely, although not confirmed and charged yet, killed by a group of adults. But what we still don't know, have no clue about, is what happened to Summer Wells. Where is Summer Wells? When we look at the cases I mentioned, it is representative of all the statistics out there, which proves that more than 80% of minors killed are killed by someone they know, a parent, a grandparent, uncle, neighbor, friend, or caregiver. It is what it is. It's not me making it up or someone else making it up in the media. It is statistically proven and it's disgusting. When we get to the Summer Wells case, though, we are stuck in a scenario which is out of the norm. Or is it? Is it really out of the norm? Or are we led to believe or indoctrinated to believe that it is out of the norm? Summer Wells, if her mother's to be believed, disappeared in a matter of minutes off a rural property with two adults, her mother and grandmother, present. Her three brothers were also home, and no one, not the adults or the three children, saw anything or heard anything. Or that is what they, the parents and law enforcement, want us to believe. And right off the bat, let me tell you, I don't. What makes it even more unbelievable is that the grandmother herself has a daughter, Rose, who disappeared and who has not been found yet. Coincidence? Well, I personally do not believe in coincidence. But here is what I do believe. I believe that the father of Summer Wells truly had nothing to do, and I'm mentioning this clearly, with the physical act of either the disappearance or death of his daughter. I also believe that he is so thick, so stupid, that he actually believes the shit his wife and her mother are telling him. Now, I'm not saying mom or grandma definitely harmed the child. I wasn't there. I don't know. And the point is, neither does anyone else know what truly happened. But it is 100% unbelievable that the mother who was there and supposedly awake have no clue, no idea what happened, can't even venture a guess as to what happened. 13 dogs, 3 boys in and around the home, and she saw and heard nothing. I'm sorry, I do not believe her. I see and hear that YouTubers are comparing the case of Athena Strand to that of Summer Wells, and I do not agree. Athena Strand was 7 years old. She was dropped off from school, had a disagreement with her stepmom, and went outside. A FedEx driver delivering a parcel to the home kidnapped her. A tip and subsequent digital evidence led to Athena's body being found and the suspect, 31-year-old Tanner Horner, being arrested. Now, I looked at the geographical maps of the areas Summer Wells and Athena Strand disappeared in, and all these two areas have in common is that both are fairly rural. Other than that, there is little to no similarities. Tanner Horner committed a crime of opportunity. He was at the property for a reason, delivered a parcel, and Athena was outside. After receiving a tip, authorities quickly verified his whereabouts, found Athena's body, and arrested Tanner. So, if your argument is that Summer could have met the same fate, then you are effectively telling me that in nearly 2 years, law enforcement and the TBI have not been able to obtain cell phone data from the nearest cell phone towers to determine who was in the area of 110 Ben Hill Road in Rogersville. I'm sorry, that is not believable. You can argue the corruption in the Hawkins County Police Department, but TBI and its personnel have no personal connections to the Wells family, and I highly doubt that the TBI would suppress such information. So, although they have not as yet informed the public of what they found, I also believe that if there was anything significant found in that data, we would have been informed, or a possible suspect, at the very least, would have been taken in and questioned and made a person of interest. How many vehicles do you think drives down Ben Hill Road daily? 5, 6, 10, 15, 20? Okay, so why would 5 to 15 vehicles drive past the driveway of 110 Ben Hill Road other than residents going to town or going home, or then the odd delivery? And yes, Beach Creek Road is much, much busier, but the driveway does not open up into Beach Creek, and a stranger would not even be aware of the driveway or a little girl at 110 Ben Hill Road. So, unless the Wells family were expecting a visitor or a delivery, the chances that a stranger just happened to come across a little blonde girl just off 110 Ben Hill Road is about 1% or less. So not only have law enforcement not identified 1, 2, 10, or 20 vehicles or people traveling down Ben Hill that day through cell phone pings, but apparently the neighbor's security camera also did not pick up a strange or unknown vehicle either. So, working on that hypothesis, then we can assume that no unknown vehicle drove down Ben Hill Road that day, and only residents along Ben Hill drove past the entrance of 110 Ben Hill Road that day. So, which resident took Summer? You want to tell me that law enforcement and TBI have not searched their properties or interrogated them all? Are you serious? No, I find that unbelievable. So, if it was not a stranger and not a neighbor, then who? Who is left? Who but the people on 110 Ben Hill Road that day? On the third photograph, taken in winter, one can see exactly just how steep the embankment towards the creek and Beach Creek Road is. Yes, it flattens out a little towards the right of the screen, towards where the driveway is, and again when it curves towards the back of the property. But in summer, do you really think a 5-year-old could make her way towards Beach Creek Road all by herself? I don't. There is only one other option from Beach Creek Road, and that is the access to the bottom shed and the power line clearance. How many people work on the power line that day? Who are they? Have they been investigated? Were there even people working on the power line that day? Have any of you heard law enforcement mentioning that as a possibility, or even saying that there were workers on the property that day? No. So, what is it? Just another of the mother and grandmother's stories to bring it up as a possibility? I don't know. Did someone walk up to the property from the bottom shed on Beach Creek and snatch Summer? I guess it's possible. But then I put it to you that they are familiar with the property and knew exactly who was at the residence at the time. We also know that law enforcement had tracker dogs there. We saw it on photographs. But we have two different stories. One is that they tracked Summer down the dog trail towards Beach Creek, and the other is that they tracked her down the driveway towards Ben Hill Road. So which is it? Or is it neither? Then we were made aware of the parents, Don and Candace Wells, drug and alcohol abuse. We were made aware of the conditions inside and directly outside of the home, conditions not fit for children to grow up in. We also know that DCS then subsequently removed the three brothers and placed them in foster care. Why? Because Summer went missing? No. Michael Vaughan's siblings were not removed after he went missing. Don and Candace Wells' children were removed because of their bad habits and addictions and because of the conditions in and around their home. Plain and simple. Now explain this to me. Cody Bigsby disappeared or was reported missing more than a year ago now. And shortly after his disappearance, his father, Corey, was arrested on multiple child neglect charges. Charges he is still sitting in jail for, awaiting his new court hearing on January the 27th. Yet, in a household where there was clear neglect, dirt, filth, hoarding, and various other dangers, no doors on the bathrooms, and where the parent and parents left three boys unattended for at least 8 hours on the day of Summer's disappearance. Nothing happened to them. I don't understand it. Is it one law for thee and another for me? Or does it have anything to do with the color of their skin? Or are the stories of corruption and drug dealing and the cops taking commission, are all these stories perhaps true, and that is why the Wells family is being protected? I don't know, but I'm asking. In all seriousness, I put it to you today that, in my opinion, the mother of Summer Moon Utah Wells, Candace Bly Wells, or her mother, Candace Herer, know exactly or have a darn good idea as to what happened to Summer Wells. In my opinion, something happened on purpose or accidental to Summer on that property, and Mom Candace hid the body. After that, Grandma collected the body and took it with her to Wisconsin. And likely a body will be found one day and it will lie somewhere unidentified. Don Wells can thus beg for money. He can scream, he can shout, he can blame and swear all he wants. But unless or until it becomes known what happened to his daughter, no child is safe in that house. Should those children be returned to Candace Bly Wells, they will be at risk, in my opinion. And if something should happen to one of them, DCS and the state will be liable. End of story. The Summer Wells case and the Rose Bly case has a few common denominators: Candy Herer and a lack of evidence. And it is that lack of evidence which is more significant to me than any possible small or minute pieces of evidence there may be, and we are just not told about. So my question to law enforcement and the TBI is, when was the last time you called Grandma in for an interrogation? Come on, guys, do your job and at least rule someone out or develop a main person of interest. At the very least, each and every perpetrator caught and removed from society makes this world just a little safer for our children. So I'm going to leave it here. I thank you for sharing your time with me. And until next time, please take good care of yourselves and each other. Bye.